Okay, here goes take two. The tube's been sitting in my hot truck for about 2 days, so it looks like it's rounded itself out a little bit. But you can still see a little bit of where it was folded over, so that concerns me. I think as the air was passing through it, even though it's 90 degrees out, it was chilling it just enough and causing it to collapse. Alright, so full disclosure at this point. Had a full sequence that I had done before this that I thought I was recording, but, it helps to hit the record button instead of the stop button. Anyway, the sandblaster, as it came packaged, was tightly coiled, but it was in a long, skinny package, and there was kinks in various places in the tubing. And it seemed to have started collapsing around those kinks. In fact, I thought it had collapsed and cracked while I was using it. And so I took the hose and I just threw it on the hood of my truck while I was working with something else, and it seems to have straightened out. By the time I got back to it, it was working again. So anyway, here we go. But you can still see a little bit of where it was folded over, so that concerns me. I think as the air was passing through it, even though it's 90 degrees out, it was chilling it just enough and causing it to collapse in those weakened points. So I picked up a tube from Lowe's or your favorite box store or wherever with a 3/8 inch inner diameter. A little effort, it'll go right on there. So hopefully it'll work as a backup. I discovered that the tip, which I have removed, as you can see, is no longer around. Being brass, it wore through quite quick. So I went out on a limb and picked up some ceramic nozzles from good old Harbor Freight. They are very similar in size. And the blue just simply marks the length. It sits up inside about that far, where the end of it fits inside the nozzle there. Hopefully that's not going to be an issue. We'll find out. Alright, well, I think for a $20 sandblaster attachment plus $5 tips, I think is working pretty good. So you can see the last one blew a hole in the side. Guess it all depends on the water flow and the direction it decides to erode those tips away. It's a reasonable substitute. Pain in the neck separating it right here, but for the price I can't complain. It'd be nice if the tip was adjustable. Might have to look on Thingiverse and see if somebody's developed a 3D print for a better version of this. Anyway, there you go. Alright, that completes that test. Initial assessment. Tip looks pretty good. A little worn. Let's hope the inside of this thing looks good. Don't lose the bolt. It doesn't really hold these halves together because it's one piece. It's a retaining pin, basically. This just slides apart. There we go. See, the bolt goes through that slot, keeps it from pulling out. Don't lose the O-ring. Alright, well, it is all, don't know if you can see in there, but it's all full and backed up with that. Alright. It's a little dark, you can't really see. But it would appear it's just fine in there. I'm not really feeling any deformity. So maybe it's a good deal. Maybe ran it for 30 minutes. There's a little bit of wear. But enough to say these ceramic nozzles are a decent replacement. Alright, all back together, ready to go. And so far the hose hasn't collapsed on me. So maybe for those of you thinking of buying one of these in the future, just remember to let it sit in the hot sun for a couple of days before you use it. So anyway, I guess that just about wraps up the video part of this. My apologies. I guess I didn't take as much footage as I thought I had. I just wanted to get down to the end of the project. It was kind of in a little bit of a time crunch there at the end. But anyway, I guess the moral of the story is this beast does indeed work. But the brass nozzle that comes with it isn't very good. It doesn't last very long. Although it could be attributed to the media that I was using, which turns out was nothing but the paver sand you can find at Lowe's and Home Depot. Now, the Lowe stuff was okay, but I had to screen it through a window screen. And it worked all right, but I probably lost, I don't know, maybe a fifth of the media because it was too large to go through the tip of the blaster. And I discovered later that the Home Depot sand was cheaper, a little bit more quantity, and it was finer. And I had less fallout. I probably only lost maybe 10% of it instead of 20% of it. So, all in all, the Home Depot sand seemed to work a lot better, and it didn't wear my tips out as much. As for this little baby, It plugged directly into the pressure washer that I was using. As you can see here, this end is threaded. I presume it would work for a Karcher, which is what this one was listed for. The one I was using was actually a Craftsman, and Craftsman are frequently built by other companies. So after a little tiny bit of research online, I came to the conclusion that this piece would indeed work with the Craftsman, which fortunately it did. There you have it. So if you're interested, oh, and one other thing, keep your sand dry, because it gets plugged up in your hose. And the other thing is, when you connect this onto your wand, you want your hose coming out the top. If it comes out the bottom, moisture gets in there, it gets wet right here, plugs up, and then it's nothing but grief. So if you keep it on the top, it'll stay dry a lot longer. So anyway, there you have it. $20 sand blaster for a pressure washer. It was a little messy outside, but it worked.